Book Plus Introduction. Sometimes the hardest thing in life isn't the mountain you have to climb or the competition you're facing, it's simply deciding to start. The gap between where you are and where you want to be often comes down to one choice: will you step forward, or will you hold back? Many people wait for the stars to align, for the perfect timing, the right amount of money, the right amount of confidence before making a move. But here's the truth: that moment never really comes. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus reminded us that we don't control external events, but we do control how we respond to them. And one of the most powerful responses you can make is deciding right now, in this very moment, to live like the best version of yourself. Think about it. How often has that little voice in your head whispered that you're not ready yet? That you're not strong enough, skilled enough, or worthy enough? The Stoics would challenge that voice head on. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and one of history's greatest Stoic minds, wrote daily reminders to himself to stop wasting time and start living with purpose. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He acted with virtue, discipline, and courage no matter the uncertainty of the path ahead. And that's what today's lessons are all about: 12 timeless Stoic principles that, if you embrace them, will reshape how you see yourself, your challenges, and your life. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not, it's about stepping into your full potential with clarity and strength. Welcome to Sculpted Grace, and let's dive into the first lesson. Lesson 1: The power of deciding to be the best. The moment you decide to live up to your full potential is the moment your life begins to transform. Most people believe that success is about luck, talent, or external opportunity. But the Stoics disagreed. Epictetus taught that the true measure of our strength isn't what happens to us, it's how we choose to respond. When you commit internally to showing up as your best self, you stop waiting for permission from the world and start taking control of your destiny. This doesn't mean you'll never stumble or fall short. The Stoics never promised a life without obstacles. What they promised was that your decision to meet those obstacles with resilience and purpose is where greatness begins. Take Marcus Aurelius as an example. Here was a man who ruled the largest empire of his time, facing wars, plagues, and betrayal. Yet in his meditations, he constantly reminded himself to act with virtue, not for recognition or glory, but because it was the right thing to do. That's the heart of this principle. Deciding to be the best isn't about competing with others, it's about competing with your own potential. It's about asking yourself, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment, and then living as though you are already that person. From that single decision, everything else flows. You raise your standards, you align your actions with your values, and you begin to move closer to the life you know you're capable of living. Lesson 2: Mastering the art of self-talk. The conversations you have with yourself are the most important ones you'll ever hear. Long before modern psychology coined terms like affirmations or cognitive reframing, the Stoics understood that the voice inside our head can either strengthen us or destroy us. Epictetus wrote that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That reaction often begins with the words you whisper to yourself in moments of doubt or difficulty. If you allow your inner critic to dominate, constantly reminding you of your failures, weaknesses, or shortcomings, you'll create a mental environment of fear and limitation. But if you choose to speak to yourself like a guide, a mentor, or even a loving friend, you open the door to resilience and growth. Consider a simple example: you've just made a mistake at work. The default self-talk might sound like, "I always screw things up, I'm not good enough." This line of thinking quickly spirals into frustration, shame, and paralysis. But imagine instead adopting a Stoic approach: "I made a mistake, but this is a chance to learn, to improve, and to grow stronger." That one shift in internal dialogue changes everything. Instead of being weighed down by guilt, you are lifted up by perspective. Modern neuroscience confirms what the Stoics intuited centuries ago: your thoughts shape your brain. Repeated negative self-talk strengthens pathways of doubt, while positive, constructive self-talk literally builds mental resilience. By practicing mindful self-dialogue daily, you align with Marcus Aurelius' reminder: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Lesson 3: Emotional alignment with reason. For the Stoics, emotions were not enemies to be suppressed, but forces to be guided by reason. True freedom, they argued, comes not from escaping emotions but from ensuring that our emotions serve our higher values rather than enslave us. When anger controls you, it pushes you into rash decisions. When fear dominates you, it holds you back from opportunities. But when emotions are aligned with wisdom, courage, and justice, they can become powerful allies. Seneca once advised that anger is like falling into madness: it clouds judgment and undermines your integrity. That's why Stoic practice demanded constant reflection, not to numb feelings, but to master them. One practical way the Stoics cultivated emotional alignment was through visualization. Marcus Aurelius would mentally rehearse challenges before they happened, imagining betrayal, criticism, or hardship so that when those moments came, he could meet them calmly, rather than with shock or rage. Modern athletes use the same method today: they visualize themselves succeeding under pressure, so that when the real moment comes, their emotions are already prepared to support them rather than sabotage them. You can try this in your own life. Before an important conversation, visualize yourself staying calm, listening carefully, and responding with wisdom rather than defensiveness. By aligning your emotions with reason, you prepare yourself not only to endure difficulty but to transform it into strength. Lesson 4: The discipline of desire. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies a profound question: what is truly worth wanting? Most of us spend our lives chasing things that are fleeting: status, wealth, approval, without realizing that the constant pursuit leaves us restless and unfulfilled. The Stoics taught that desire itself is not the problem, misplaced desire is. When we yearn for what is outside our control, we set ourselves up for frustration. Epictetus reminded his students, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." This means shifting our attention away from external rewards and toward the cultivation of character, wisdom, and virtue, things no one can take away from us. Think about the last time you craved recognition, maybe from your boss, your peers, or even on social media. When the recognition came, it felt good, but only briefly. Soon, the desire returned, demanding more likes, more praise, more validation. Now imagine desiring something more lasting, becoming more honest, more disciplined, more compassionate. These desires, unlike fleeting applause, actually strengthen your inner foundation. A Stoic would ask, what if you placed the same energy into building yourself that you spend on seeking external rewards? The discipline of desire is not about renouncing pleasure altogether, it's about choosing wisely. Instead of being pulled in every direction by temporary cravings, you anchor yourself in desires that elevate you. This shift doesn't just bring peace, it gives your life a sense of purpose that outlasts every passing want. Lesson 5: Practicing voluntary discomfort. One of the most surprising practices of the Stoics was their willingness to step deliberately into discomfort. Seneca often slept on the floor, ate plain food, and wore rough clothing, not because he enjoyed suffering but because he wanted to train his mind. His reasoning was simple: if you can endure discomfort by choice, you'll never fear it when it arrives uninvited. This practice wasn't about self-punishment but about freedom. After all, how can hunger frighten you if you've already chosen to skip a meal? How can poverty terrify you if you've already lived simply and seen that life goes on? Modern life offers endless comforts, but comfort alone can make us fragile. Think about how upset we get when the Wi-Fi drops, or when our morning coffee order is delayed. These small inconveniences reveal how dependent we've become on ease. Practicing voluntary discomfort, whether it's taking a cold shower, fasting occasionally, or leaving your phone aside for a day, helps break this dependency. You don't have to become an ascetic living in the wilderness, but you can challenge yourself in small ways. Each voluntary hardship becomes a reminder: I am stronger than my cravings, tougher than my comforts. When life eventually throws you into real difficulty, and it will, you won't crumble. Instead, you'll meet it with calm resilience, because you've trained your mind and body to endure. Lesson 6: The power of perception. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the cornerstone of Stoic resilience. Our experiences are shaped less by events themselves and more by the lens through which we interpret them. Two people can face the same obstacle: losing a job, being rejected, facing illness, yet one falls apart while the other grows stronger. Why? Because one sees the event as destruction while the other sees it as opportunity. The Stoics urge us to practice shifting our perception, reminding ourselves that reality is neutral until we give it meaning. Think of a rainy day. To one person, it's a ruined outing; to another, it's a chance to slow down, reflect, or nourish the earth. The rain itself doesn't change, only the perception does. In relationships, careers, and personal growth, reframing challenges allows us to maintain composure and clarity. When a partner criticizes you, you can see it as an attack or as feedback for growth. When plans fall apart, you can see it as failure or as space for something new. This shift in perception doesn't magically erase pain, but it does strip pain of its power to dominate your mind. By remembering the Stoic principle that we cannot control events, only our judgments of them, we turn life's obstacles into stepping stones. Every setback becomes raw material for resilience, if only we choose to see it that way. Lesson 7: Control what you can, release what you can't. If Stoicism could be condensed into a single lesson, this might be it. Epictetus taught, "Some things are up to us and some are not. Our mistake," he said, "is that we waste endless energy trying to control what will forever remain outside our grasp: other people's opinions, the outcome of events, the passage of time." The Stoics insisted that peace comes only when we recognize the line between what is ours and what is not, and then discipline ourselves to focus on the former. Consider a simple example: you're preparing for an important interview. You can control your preparation, your mindset, your punctuality, and your effort. But you cannot control whether the interviewer is in a good mood, whether another candidate is chosen, or whether the company suddenly changes direction. Most of us suffer because we entangle ourselves in the uncontrollable. We obsess over what ifs and outcomes we cannot dictate, which only creates anxiety. The Stoic alternative is liberating: prepare with diligence, show up with integrity, and then let go of what is beyond you. This principle applies in relationships, too. You cannot control whether someone will love you back, but you can control whether you show up with honesty, kindness, and respect. By living this way, you reclaim enormous energy once wasted on worry, and redirect it toward growth. In the end, the Stoics remind us that freedom is found not in bending the world to our will, but in mastering our will within the world. Lesson 8: Practice voluntary discomfort. One of the more surprising Stoic practices is the idea of voluntary discomfort. At first glance, this seems counterintuitive. Why would anyone willingly make life harder? But the Stoics, particularly Seneca, emphasized that choosing discomfort in controlled ways builds resilience for the inevitable discomforts that life forces upon us. Seneca advised occasionally wearing rough clothing, eating plain food, or sleeping on a hard surface, not to punish oneself but to remind oneself that luxury and comfort are fleeting. By exposing ourselves to mild discomfort, we reduce fear of it. Think of how athletes train: they deliberately push their bodies into fatigue and stress so that when real competition comes, they are prepared. Similarly, if you practice saying no to indulgence, or embrace small challenges like fasting, cold showers, or walking instead of driving, you are training your mind to endure. The next time life removes your comfort without warning: a sudden loss, rejection, or financial strain, you won't be caught unprepared. Relationships benefit from this principle, too. If you can embrace temporary discomfort, such as having difficult conversations or tolerating space instead of clinging, you grow stronger together. Voluntary discomfort isn't about being harsh to yourself, it's about forging inner strength so that life's inevitable storms cannot easily shake you. Lesson 9. Remember the shortness of life. The Stoics spoke often of memento mori, remember that you must die. To many, this sounds grim, but to the Stoics, it was one of the most liberating truths. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is fleeting, and that each breath could be his last. Far from depressing him, this sharpened his sense of purpose. When we confront our mortality, we stop wasting time on petty conflicts, endless distractions, or chasing validation. Instead, we ask, what truly matters? Think of the last time you lost someone or even just remembered how fragile time is. Didn't your priorities instantly shift? Suddenly, the small annoyances fade, and what remains is the urgency to love deeply, live authentically, and focus on what has enduring value. Relationships, in particular, are transformed when we live with memento mori in mind. We argue less, forgive faster, and express gratitude more openly because we realize tomorrow is not promised. This is not about living recklessly but about living intentionally. Every day becomes an opportunity to align our actions with our values, to treat others with kindness, and to pursue what is meaningful rather than trivial. When we live with the awareness of life's brevity, we no longer postpone joy or growth, we embrace them fully in the present. Lesson 10. Focus only on what you can control. At the heart of Stoicism lies one of its most powerful lessons: distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Epictetus said it plainly, some things are up to us, and some are not. Many of life's frustrations come from trying to bend the external world to our will, how people treat us, the outcomes of our efforts, or the opinions of others. But the Stoics remind us that our true power lies in governing our choices, attitudes, and actions. Imagine a sailor at sea. He cannot control the wind or waves, but he can control how he steers the ship. Similarly, we cannot control what others do, but we can control how we respond. In relationships, this principle is life-changing. How often do we stress over whether someone likes us, whether they will stay, or whether they will change? That is energy wasted on what is outside our control. Instead, focus on what you can bring: kindness, integrity, honesty, and patience. If others respond positively, wonderful. If they do not, you remain at peace, knowing you acted in alignment with your values. This lesson is also liberating in daily life. Job rejections, unexpected setbacks, or even the weather lose their power over us once we realize, I cannot control this, but I can control my response. Practicing this consistently creates an inner calm that is nearly unshakable, no matter what the world throws your way. Lesson 11. Live according to virtue. For the Stoics, the highest good was not wealth, pleasure, or fame, it was virtue. Virtue meant living in harmony with reason, integrity, justice, courage, and self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote that waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. B1. This principle strips away excuses. It is not about how others behave, it is about who you choose to be. Living with virtue means aligning your choices, even small ones, with your deeper values. Do you speak honestly, even when it's difficult? Do you treat others fairly, even when you could gain by being selfish? Do you act with courage, even when fear tempts you to retreat? In practice, this means we measure success differently. Instead of asking, "Did I win? Did I gain approval?" we ask, "Did I act with virtue?" Imagine leaving a conversation knowing you were patient, truthful, and respectful. Even if the other person was dismissive or unkind, you walk away with dignity intact. In relationships, virtue becomes the foundation of trust. When you commit to honesty, fairness, and respect, others feel safe with you. And even if the relationship ends, you have no regrets because you upheld your principles. Living by virtue transforms life into something more than chasing external rewards. It becomes about building character. This is what the Stoics believed makes a person truly free, because virtue is always within your power, no matter the circumstances. Lesson 12. Find strength in adversity. Finally, one of the most empowering Stoic lessons: adversity is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and endured incredible hardship, taught that obstacles are opportunities to practice strength. Marcus Aurelius, ruling during wars and plagues, still wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Life will always bring challenges, heartbreak, loss, setbacks, but Stoicism teaches us to see them as raw material for growth. The fire of adversity does not destroy, it forges character. Think of the times you grew most as a person. Was it when everything was easy? Or was it when you faced difficulties that forced you to adapt, endure, and discover your hidden strength? The Stoic approach is to embrace hardship not with despair but with determination. In relationships, this means seeing struggles not as the end but as tests of resilience. Arguments, misunderstandings, or even periods of distance can strengthen a bond if handled with patience and wisdom. On a personal level, adversity teaches humility, perseverance, and gratitude. Instead of asking, "Why me?" the Stoic asks, "How can I use this to become stronger?" This mindset transforms suffering into strength and ensures that no challenge is ever wasted. Conclusion: living the Stoic way every day. As we've journeyed through these 12 timeless Stoic lessons, one truth shines through clearly: life will never be free of challenges, but we always have the power to choose how we respond. Whether it's understanding your true worth, presenting yourself with dignity, practicing voluntary discomfort, or embracing adversity as a teacher, Stoicism offers us tools to not just survive life's storms but to walk through them with calm strength. These principles are not meant to be read once and forgotten. They are practices, habits of the mind and heart that grow stronger the more we live them. Just as muscles grow when tested, our inner resilience expands each time we apply these lessons to real life. And here's the beautiful part: when we live this way, our relationships, careers, and inner worlds transform. Instead of being shaken by every insult, rejection, or unexpected loss, we anchor ourselves in what truly matters: virtue, self-respect, and wisdom. We begin to value our time, our energy, and our character in ways that elevate not only our own lives but also the lives of those around us. This is the legacy of Stoicism, not cold detachment, but courageous, intentional living. So as you move forward, remember, your worth is not defined by others, but by how you choose to live. Your peace comes not from controlling the world, but from mastering yourself. And your strength is not in avoiding hardship, but in using it to grow.